We are going to discuss wrist joint, that is one of the important joint in your syllabus on upper limb. So I hope you'll enjoy this session. It will cover a 20-mark question along with some short notes. So let us see the slides. Welcome friends. Today we are going to see wrist joint. So wrist joint is one of the distal part joint of upper limb. It consists of two compound joints, radioulnar joint and mid-carpal joint, but generally we are more concerned with radiocarpal joint. So wrist joint, if you consider radiocarpal joint, the type is synovial joint, diarthrosis synovial joint, subtype ellipsoid variety. The wrist complex is made up of radiocarpal joint and midcarpal joint. Now articulating surfaces in case of radiocarpal is distally radius and below scaphoid, lunate and triquetral bone. Here you can see, so it is proximally you can see radius, and distally you can see the scaphoid, lunate and triquetral bone. Biaxial ellipsoid joint, it is biaxial. It has two axes of rotation, flexion extension around frontal axis and sagittal plane, and radioulnar deviation around sagittal axis or frontal plane. Okay. Now radiocarpal ulnar disc. Here you can see it is a schematic formation. Radioulnar disc as part of TFCC. We will later discuss what is TFCC. Proximally and by scaphoid, lunate and triquetrum distally. It is a condyloid or ellipsoid type of synovial joint. The carpal aspect presents two convexities, transverse convexity and anteroposterior convexity. Here you can see it has got two convexity, transverse convexity and anteroposterior convexity. So proximally you can see there is radius with a concavity, and this scaphoid, lunate and triquetrum together forming a convexity which has a transverse convexity as well as anteroposterior convexity. And this part is articulogenous disc that we'll discuss shortly, that is TFCC, triangular fibrocartilaginous complex. Already we have seen TFCC. TFCC is triangular fibrocartilaginous complex. This complex is TFCC. The TFCC is essentially composed of the triangular fibrocartilage disc. This is the disc. This part is actually the disc. Triangular fibrocartilaginous disc, radioulnar ligament, ulnocarpal ligament. Along with this disc, there is radioulnar ligament, ulnocarpal ligament. The primary function of the TFCC is to improve joints congruency and to cushion against compressive force. The TFCC transmits about 20% of the axial load from the hand to the forearm. In this diagram you can see 80% weight is directly going towards radius, but only 20% is transformed by this TFCC. Here you can see dorsal TFCC, radioulnar ligament, extensor carpi ulnaris tendon sheath, ulnar collateral ligament, articular disc and meniscus homologue. So the dorsal view and ventral view, on both view you can see multiple structures are contributing to this TFCC. This is palmar view. Here also you can see ulno triquetral ligament, radioulnar ligament, ulnar ligament, meniscus, homologue, articular disc. Now, articulating surface, ulnar negative variance, short ulna in relation to radius at distal end. Ulna positive variance, distal ulna is long in relation to distal radius. Ulna variance and thickness of triangular fibrocartilage complex have an inverse relationship. So, if ulna is more lengthier, then the thickness of this disc will be low, and if the length of ulna is shorter, then thickness will be more. So there is an inverse relation with the thickness of this disc and length of ulna. So normal range of motion, that is in short called as ROM, not the ROM of computer. Normal range of motion, in case of flexion it is 65 to 85 degree. In case of extension, it is 60 to 85 degree. Ulnar deviation, that is lateral deviation, ulnar deviation is 15 to 21 degree, and radial deviation is 20 to 45 degree. Here you can see the two segments. One is radiocarpal joint and one is mid-carpal joint. Two segments. Now ligaments. Palmar radiocarpal ligament, it is found on the palmar anterior side of the hand. It is passes from radius to both rows of carpal bone in function, apart from increasing stability to ensure the hand followed to the forearm during supination. Dorsal radiocarpal ligament, it is found on the dorsum or posterior side of the hand. It passes from the radius to both rows of carpal bone. It contributes to the stability of wrist, but also ensures that the hand follows the forearm during pronation. Now, ulnar collateral ligament runs from the ulnar styloid process to the triquetrum and pisiform, works in union with the other collateral ligaments to prevent excessive lateral joint displacement. Now, radial collateral ligament runs from the radial styloid process to the scaphoid and trapezium, works in union with the other collateral ligament to prevent excessive lateral joint displacement. Here you can see palmar view of ligaments of wrist joint. Palmar radiocarpal ligament, this is palmar radiocarpal ligament. Then radial collateral ligament, here you can see in yellow color, and this is ulnar collateral ligament in green color, you can see. Okay. Now this is a dorsal view. You can see scaphotrapezius ligament, dorsal intercarpal ligament. You can see short dorsal ligament of distal row, ulnar collateral ligament. Here you can see the articular disc. This is a section at this level. If you cut the hand in this level, this is the view where you can see all the carpal bones and ligaments and the structures passing through. The relations anteriorly, tendons of flexor digitorum superficial, flexor digitorum profundus, flexor pollicis longus, flexor carpi radialis, flexor carpi ulnaris, medial and ulnar nerve, and laterally radial artery. Here you can see laterally radial artery, and these are all this group of muscles. These are all flexor group of muscles, and here you can see these are extensor group of muscles. So anteriorly long flexor tendons with their synovial sheath, median nerve. Posteriorly extensor tendons of the wrist and finger with their synovial sheath, and laterally radial artery. This is the relation in short. This is a schematic diagram you can draw for exam. You can take a screenshot of this diagram. Here you can see palmaris longus, flexor digitorum superficialis and profundus, median nerve, flexor carpi ulnaris, flexor pollicis longus, radial artery, abductor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis brevis, extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis, extensor pollicis longus, extensor digitorum and extensor indicis, extensor digiti minimi, extensor carpi ulnaris, flexor carpi ulnaris, ulnar nerve. So this is the relation at wrist joint. Easy schematic diagram. Muscles in front are called as flexor. Muscles at behind are called as extensor. Muscles on the medial side of the wrist are ulnar deviators, and muscles on the radial side or lateral side of the wrist are abductors. Combination of all movements leads to rotation. So these are the movements along with muscles. Now what are the movements we have seen? Flexion, extension, abduction, adduction and circumduction. Okay. So for flexion, palmaris longus, flexor carpi ulnaris, flexor carpi radialis, flexor digitorum superficialis. For extension, extensor carpi radialis longus and brevis, extensor carpi ulnaris, extensor digitorum. For ulnar deviation, extensor carpi ulnaris, flexor carpi ulnaris. For radial deviation, abductor pollicis longus, flexor carpi radialis, extensor carpi radialis longus and brevis. So this is kinematics of this joint. Here you can say flexion and extension of wrist. Here you can see the sliding movements. This is flexion and this is flexion and this is extension, and this is the neutral position. And below you can see you can tally with hand what is extended hand, what is flexed hand. Now this is radial and ulnar deviation. This is ulnar deviation. Here you can see this is ulnar deviation. This is neutral position and this is radial deviation. So here you can see the two deviations, that is this is radial deviation and this is ulnar deviation. This is radial deviation, this is ulnar deviation, or you may say this is abduction and this is adduction. And here you can see this is flexion and this is extension and hyperextension. So flexion mainly at mid-carpal joint range 0 to 60 degree. Muscles involved in flexions are flexor carpi radialis, flexor carpi ulnaris, palmaris longus, and assisted by flexor digitorum superficialis, flexor digitorum profundus and flexor pollicis longus. Extension mainly at wrist joint ranges from 0 to 50 degree. Muscles involved in extension: extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis, extensor carpi ulnaris, assisted by extensor indicis, extensor digitorum, extensor digiti minimi, extensor pollicis longus. Now abduction. Abduction is at mid-carpal joint range between 0 to 15 degree. Muscles involved in abduction are flexor carpi radialis, extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis, and assisted by abductor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis brevis. So these are the muscles involved. Now blood supply and nerve supply. Blood supply is done by anterior and posterior carpal arches formed by branches of radial and ulnar artery. So you must be knowing superficial and deep carpal arches. There are palmar arches and carpal arches, anterior aspect and posterior aspect, which is mainly responsible for supplying this joint. And nerve supply, anterior and posterior interosseous nerve. This is a radiological plate where you can see the different carpal bones and the formation of a normal joint. Clinical anatomy. Fracture of scaphoid causes, here you can see there is a fracture of scaphoid, causes fall on outstretched hand. Signs and symptoms: tenderness in the anatomical snap box. You must be knowing what is anatomical snap box. And complications are vascular necrosis and arthritis. After the joint has been recovered, you may face avascular, even after that, complications may arise as avascular necrosis, means no blood supply to this region and necrosis, or there may be prolonged complication, that is arthritis. So this is how you should use keyboard. Not only for keyboard, even for those who are doing any handwork. Remember, if you are doing any prolonged handwork, you have to maintain your wrist joint in normal neutral position. Neutral position, not flexed, not extended, not abducted, not adducted. You have to keep it neutral. See the wrong postures on right side. If you don't keep it neutral, there may be chronic injury to these ligaments of wrist joint, or CFCC, that is cartilaginous disc and ligament component, fibrous component or cartilaginous component may get chronically injured, and that is very much painful. You cannot do 30% of the weightage of that work. Before that, you used to lift 5 kilo. Now there will be problem in lifting 2 kilo also. That is the chronic injury complications due to wrong posture of routine work. And after that, you may need this. If you are in a wrong posture doing chronic injury for your occupational hazard, you may need this to reinforce those ligaments or muscular supports to this wrist joint. So that's all for today's lecture. So be safe and protect your wrist from any fall or acute or chronic injury. Stay connected by subscribing